Good evening, everyone. Dr. Bookmark here, and welcome to Summer Reading with Your Children. It's great to see you again. The second show today will focus on how libraries, the Boston Public Library and the Boston School Libraries, support reading with your children and with you all over the summer to have fun with literacy, to have a good time with literacy, and to make your house vibrant with words and stories. And I'm looking forward to getting right to our guests, but first I have a couple things to talk about. Just a couple things. The first thing is, do you remember our first program? We had 2 Boston parents come in. Oh, they were fantastic. They shared their techniques with us, their read-aloud techniques, keeping it alive during the summer, keeping independent reading alive in the summer. And all of these things that they shared are up on my website, drbookmark.com. So anything on these shows, Summer Reading with Your Children, you can go to the website and find out about it and keep up with the shows as we go through the summer. Now, some people have asked me, now the kids don't ask me because they know me, but some people have asked me, hey doctor, what's with the hat? Well, I got to tell you what it is. This is my reading hat. And all the colors of the hat remind me of all the genres, nonfiction, poetry, all kinds of stories, biographies, mysteries, everything I like, newspapers, comics. And when I spin my propeller, I always say, I love to read, and so do the kids too. Now, the stethoscope, it's magical. It really doesn't work because I'm not a real doctor. I'm a doctor of books, but it helps me figure out, do books have a heart and soul, and are they good ones to share with kids and children and young adults? So, anyway, that's what Dr. Bookmark is all about. You can find more about me on the website. Now, before we get to the guests, I want to say one more thing. I was at the Boston Public Library the other day, and we talked at the end of our program about surrounding our children with books, and what better place to do that than the Boston Public Library. So come along with me and see Dr. Bookmark at the library. Hi, boys and girls, parents and family members. Dr. Bookmark here. It's good to see you again. And today I'm in one of my favorite places, the Boston Public Library. And I'm at the Central Library downtown. And we've been talking about reading over the summer. Summer reading is so important. Read aloud, voluntary reading every day for at least 30 minutes to grow your imagination, to grow your knowledge, to grow your vocabulary, and to have fun with stories. All kinds of stories, nonfiction, poetry, mystery novels. Oh my goodness, there's so many things to read. Now, the library is the best place I know to surround yourself with beautiful books. So, boys and girls, to check out the best summer reads, you'll receive from your teacher a book list. Now, this book list was made up special by the librarians at your school, teacher recommendations, Boston Public Librarian recommendations, and they're the best reads that you can come up with for the summer. And you open it up, and there's all kinds of books. Picture books, chapter books, poems, nursery rhymes, folk tales, informational books. And as you get a little older, there's historical fiction, science fiction, biographies. Oh, I'm a big fan of biographies. In fact, the Roberto Clemente story is one I'm going to pick up today. And the Sonia Sotomayor story, that's about a little girl that grew up to be a judge. And you could be a judge one day, a Supreme Court judge. So you come down to the library, and all you need is your book list, your mom, dad, a family member, and your famous, most important card in the entire universe. I got to spin my propeller on that. Let's hear it. I love to read. Your Boston Public Library card. Oh, it's one of my favorite cards. It is my favorite card. And I can check out the books I have, and I've got a stack of them, and I'm going to surround myself with these books, and I'm going home now to read them, and I'm going to come back in 3 weeks, and I'm going to take care of these books. I'm going to treat them like, oh, like my favorite things in the world. I'm going to be gentle with them, and and then I'm going to bring them back in great condition, on time, and I'm going to get some more. So I have to leave because you know me, I've got to get to my books. So come to the library, and remember this. This is the Central Library downtown, but the library branches out into all of your neighborhoods. And every neighborhood has a children's room just for you, with all the beautiful books, just like you see here, plus some computers and lots of other neat ideas for you to think about to become the best reader ever. So I'll see you later. Once again, remember, you've got the fever, so keep reading. Oh, the library is so great. I had so much fun there. I was surrounded by books, and I'm super excited today to have two librarians with me on the Dr. Bookmark. Welcome to the Summer Reading Show. Jessie Snow from the Boston Public Library and Karen Caldillo from the former BPS Director of Library and a former librarian, and also now Academic Manager at Madison Park. So welcome, Jessie. Welcome, Karen. It's so great to see you. And Jessie, I got to start with the Boston Public Library because the downtown library, the branch libraries are all like super fantastic. They have children's rooms. I just can't get I can't get enough of it. Now, a simple question: you are the youth service coordinator.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
What does the youth service coordinator do at BPL?
I work with all of the children's and the teen librarians in all of the Boston Public Library branches. We work together as a team in developing and implementing programs for children and teens across the library system.
So that must involve like a lot of work for you to like dig into all the books and dig in and work with the librarians to make everything so attractive. Because when I walk into the library, I'm astounded by the beauty of it.
It is a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun work. I mean, working with the youth services librarians is very rewarding, and they have so much creativity and innovation, and that's a big part of their job in making the children's and the teen rooms that children and teens want to be in.
Well, I know that summer's a long time, and lots of great things are going on at the Boston Public Library right now. And the theme this summer is dig into reading, and I just love that whole notion of like get right down into those books. Could you tell me a little bit about dig into reading and what families can look to do with that?
Sure, it's my pleasure. I actually brought the summer programming brochure for children here. As you said, dig into reading is the theme. So from July 1st until August 9th, children can go into any of the Boston Public Library branches and participate in science programs from Dr. Can Do Science and Mad Science, the Museum of Science, the New England Aquarium. There'll be gardening programs in all of the branches and dinosaur story times, so it coincides with the Dig Into Reading theme.
Dinosaur story time. I can't even say it, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, this is going on in July and summer, or July and August, throughout those 2 months. How do parents find out the timing for all of these events?
Sure, they can go into any of the branches and pick up a summer programming brochure. It has all of the dates and the times for all of the branches. Or they can go onto the Boston Public Library website, www.bpl.org, and they can find out more information there.
Well, parents, this is fantastic. There's so many things for your children to do this summer. I mean, this whole notion of science and studying science and gardening programs, all related and tied to books. This is terrific. Are there any other initiatives going on this summer at BPL?
Sure. We have another program that started on June 10th. It's the Read Your Way to Fenway contest, and it ends July 26th. Children or youth aged 5 to 17 can participate. They can read 3 books, write about one of them, and they can win 3 tickets to a Red Sox game versus the New York Yankees on August 17th. Very exciting.
Wait a second here. You read 3 books.
Read 3 books.
You write about one of them.
Write about one of them.
And you can win tickets to see the Sox play the Yankees?
Yes, it is a contest. It is an essay contest,
Essay.
Dr. Bookmark. Yes.
So you have to work on
So you
it.
have to work a little bit on it. Yes.
But it's terrific. It's just a terrific thing to have for the kids of Boston. Now, Jesse, I'm going to turn and talk to Karen just for a second, but feel free to join in
Sure.
When we start talking about these books. Because Karen, one of the things that I've been talking to kids and parents about all along is this: if we just 10 minutes of read aloud a night, 10 minutes of voluntary reading a night, right from the very start. I'm starting read aloud right at the moment of birth and following it right through, all the way through elementary school and beyond, and that this will expand the imagination, grow the vocabulary, surround children in the just beautiful language. And it can be your native language, it can be English. There's so many great things to do. But the question is, what kind of books are out there for parents at birth? How do you read a book to a baby that's in your arms that's just coming home from the hospital?
Right, and actually there's an overwhelming selection. When you go to the library, you saw how many books were there. But for birth books, anything, we have these great board books. Here are a couple examples of them. And what you'll find in some of these there'll be number books. You can start learning numbers. There'll be books that have repetition. They'll have rhyme. They'll have humor. And this really gives you a chance with your child to have some close time, either to be laughing about something, reading, and like you said, exploring language and words and learning new vocabulary. And that's a great impact on them.
Well, babies love language. They love sounds. They giggle when they hear it. They love the closeness of mom and dad and the sound of their voices. It's just the rhythm and the energy that's in the human voice is so great for the young baby.
Absolutely great. And there's some really, really fun ones. Like this one, Sheep in a Jeep. You get into it and it says, sheep shove, sheep grunt, sheep don't think to look up front. And you can see what's going to happen. And you can actually do some prediction with very, very young children about what's going to happen in these very fun books.
And I know that it's perfectly okay if the kids eat the books, not entirely, but they do like to chew on them and drool on them.
That is true about
I can
these.
remember
Board
that.
books are easy to turn because they have big, thick pages, and you can drool on them, and you can wipe them off, and things are fun. You can, chew on the edges. Perfectly fine.
Books as toys. What a great concept, okay?
It is great. It is.
What
great.
else do you have, Karen?
So as you move along a little bit, you get into some very, very early, easy readers, and you'll want to maybe look at ABCs to start looking at letters and maybe number books. These are some great examples of them, but there are so many out there. They've got great M&M books. So this is a really lovely book, and it was a Caldecott winner for this year. And for the year that it came out. And this one goes with a picture of a child and her dad, 4 sleepy eyes which open and close, 3 loving kisses on cheeks and nose. And you can see this really close moment with a child.
It's beautiful.
It's a gorgeous book.
And it's great to see the dad in there. Oh boy, dads that read to their kids, that's terrific. It's a fact, and it's kind of a little bit of a sad fact that the percentage of dads that read to their children is not that high. And we need to up that. We need to get dads in there with the books, especially with their boys and also with their girls, but we need to set that value.
I agree, absolutely. And even older siblings can be really helpful with that too, to see an older sibling reading and making it really cool, so that might be something as well.
Reading is cool.
It is very cool.
Look at me, it's cool.
We're all cool, right?
Yeah.
So then there's some other early readers, and you might be familiar with Brown Bear, What Do You See? And in this book, this is really good for prediction. So you'll read one page and then it kind of predicts what the next page will see. So you ask the green frog what it will see, and then it says what it's going to see next.
Okay, Jesse, let's do it. Okay. Green frog, what do you see? I see a purple cat looking at me. Oh, there's the cat.
And then you get this beautiful image, and Eric Carle is not far away. The museum is out in Western Mass, so it's kind of local. But even more local is this book by Peter Reynolds, who's written some books like Dot and Ish, and this is just a great story about 2 siblings that the little girl goes and steals all his what he thinks are really terrible things. She wallpapers her room with all of his great artwork, and he decides that he's an artist, and that's okay. It's good to make attempts. So another great story.
This is great. Now we're moving up we're getting through preschool. Now we're starting to. Now, one of the things about read alouds is that the age level is pretty expansive. You can read way above what your kids could actually read themselves, and that's really good for listening vocabulary, for listening comprehension, and also it's really good when the parents and the child are interacting on topics that they really like and things that they like to explore together.
And I was just going to say that anything that you can have them explore and push them a little bit, that's it's a great thing. These are just some middle reader picture books that may not, that your child may not be able to read until maybe second, third, fourth grade, but there's still something you could easily read at the kindergarten, first grade level to them, and then they would be repetition books as they got older. So then we have some, this one is kind of an interesting one. This is a cooking poem. It's a Spanish book, and it's written in English and Spanish, and that might be something to consider.
Tamalitos?
Tamalitos. And if you have multiple languages at home or you want to explore multiple languages, this would be a great way to do it. And this one happens to be, they put the Spanish up first, and then they have the English, and they have these beautiful images that go along with it.
Now, I'm sure the library has a lot of books that have both Spanish and English versions right on the same page.
We do. We also have some other languages, Vietnamese, and some Korean books that are bilingual as well.
So you can come into the library, and that's again how the native language and the English going together and being, honored and respected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I also brought some other nonfiction books with me. Lots of children like to get into, pictures, real life pictures. So I brought this one. It's very popular one. This one's about wolves, sharks. You can really, anything that you can imagine, you can find a book on. And I'm sure the BPL has those. I also brought a book on poetry here. And this was...
Jabberwocky?
Oh, you know this one?
Jabberwocky. Isn't Jabberwocky a poem by Lewis
Carroll? Yes.
And was it in Alice?
Through the Looking Glass?
Alice Through the Looking Glass?
Yes.
Let me see. I think it goes like this. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the bora groves, and the bone braths outgrabe. Beware the jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jump bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. Lewis Carroll, come on.
That is
you
beautiful.
You got to give it up for Lewis Carroll. Nonsense syllables, but at the same time, rhythmic and fun and just a beautiful thing.
Exploring language. And this one actually has some really beautiful images along with it. So this is a really great example of that. Another thing you might consider is biographies. And there are a couple up here behind me. This one is Roberto Clemente. And you just might consider something like that for nonfiction. And then you never want to discount some other kinds of books that children might be interested in. Maybe we have all kinds of interests, but I know that my own son is really big into graphic novels and comic books, and as long as they're reading and working with language, these have really great images. This is actually on the New York Times bestseller for graphic novel.
Well, when I go into the schools, I see a lot of Nate from the Top. I see a lot of the Diary of the Wimpy Kids. And I see other, the Lunch Lady, the comic books and things of that nature. And on the first show, we talked about, it's about being enthusiastic about reading. So you start with Nate, you start with the Wimpy Kids. This is fine, and your reading grows from there. The big thing is to have the kids reading, to read some things that they enjoy, especially over the summer, don't you think, Jesse?
Mm-hmm. To continue reading,
absolutely. Just to continue and do it all the time. Now, Karen, here's the thing. We've been talking about read aloud, but we've also know that this voluntary reading and independent reading is also important. But the question is, and I think probably librarians get this all the time, is that book right for my kid? How do I know that my child won't be frustrated with this book or with this text? And so in the schools, I show the kids how Dr. Bookmark figures out if the book is just right. Now, this is what I was saying about the stethoscope. I'll take a book like this, The True Story of the Three Little Pigs, and I'll put my stethoscope right on there. Oh, yeah. It's funny. It's hilarious. Oh, and I think it's right for me. In fact, as a read aloud, I think this works for kids from kindergarten all the way to 3rd grade. Now, people say to me, come on, doctor, we don't have stethoscopes, so how do we do it? Well, parents, there's a thing called the 5-finger method, and this is how it works. And you can do it with your child. You can open your book to any page, usually the front, and you start reading. And if you notice that your child misses just one word, stumbles over it, doesn't know, he or she doesn't know what it means, that means the book is fairly easy and they're not going to have any problems with it. If they stumble over 2 to 3 words in 2 pages, that actually means the book is just right for them, because you want a little bit of a challenge, but not too much. And as they read the story, they'll be able to figure out some of those words that they are not familiar with. Once you get to 4, you're in a challenging zone, and that could frustrate the child a little bit, but some kids like to take that challenge and see what they can do. 5 words that you don't know and stumble over on the first 2 pages, maybe 6 months from now, if you keep reading all the time, that book will just be right for you. So it's very important to have a simple method on figuring out books. Okay, so here we are. We know the 5-finger method. We're talking about read aloud, independent reading. But now what I want to share with you is how kids get excited about books and share back and forth with each other. So now we're going to look at some children at the Deborah McCormick with their librarian teacher, Katie DePorter, and to see how they share books and technology with each other.
Hey, Dr. Bookmark! I'm here with some of my students at the Deborah McCormick, and we're going to show you some programs that we use in the library that you can also do at home.
Storybird is really great because you get to make your own story and write it too.
You could feel like a real author, and it's creative.
With Animoto, you can make videos and add pictures and music and make your own video.
Boki, you could get to create your own character and record your own voice to present, research, and to give a book talk or book review.
Abraham Lincoln was the 16th President of the United States of America.
In Toondon, I could do my own comic.
The book review I'm doing is for Big Nate Goes for Broke by Lincoln Pierce. I love Big Nate because it is so funny. I recommend this book to all boys and girls because it is very entertaining. There are secret codes, comics, and more. It describes his emotions and thoughts, so you should read Big Nate today.
The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy.
Bye, Dr. Bookmark!
Wasn't that terrific?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so good to see how kids are talking and relating to each other. You see, Jesse, I see this relationship between technology now in literacy and some of the more traditional styles like of book talks and book reviews. Technology at the Boston Public Library, what do we have down there for kids? How do they get to use the technology down there? Are there computers available and things of that nature?
There are computers available for children in all of the Boston Public Library branches. There's also laptops that the teens and children can use in all of the branches as well.
And in the first program, we talked about this balance between the kids are going to know the technology. But when you saw those programs, and again, those programs will be up on the website, Storybird, that's creating your own story. Another one is creating a character and letting the character talk, adding images, adding video. I mean, I think there's all kinds of possibilities to expand the notion of literacy with kids and draw them further and further into books and wanting to like really ground themselves in the love of literature and nonfiction and poetry. So I just have to say, I've had a splendid time talking with you, and thank you for coming on the show. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank
I
you very
did.
much.
Thank
I
you.
did as
Oh,
well.
the doctor,
That's great.
the doctor loves librarians. I mean, it just happens that way. Parents, I just have a couple things in closing. Please check out the Boston Public Library website at bpl.org. You'll find many, many resources there for you. The director of the Boston Public Schools Library and Media Services is Amy Short, and she has created a fantastic website. I could spend the whole program on that website. When you go into that, you'll see all the librarians that work in the Boston Public Library, all kinds of resources for kids. There's a thing called SIRS Discover, which has got over 1,900 newspapers for grades 1 through 9 to do research. There's this wonderful online set of books called Tumble Books, and they're animated talking books. You can read along with them, and there's puzzles and games. And there's even on the site a Britannica, elementary Britannica in English and Spanish, encyclopedias for kids to use. And that's just the tip of the iceberg on that site. You can get those directly by those websites that I just gave you, or going to drbookmark.com. You can access those things there too. So everything we talked, including the books we talked about today, I'll put those up on the website. Thank you for tuning in. Our next show will be on storytelling for young children and how talk and conversation promotes and influences literacy. So for now, let me just say, you have the fever, keep reading, and one more time, let's hear you say, I love to read. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I love to read.